So it's July 2025, and this is me on the wall climbing at close to my limit, which for now is around about V3, on a good day V4. And you might be asking yourself, why am I watching a video of a subpar, mediocre climber when I could be watching experts on YouTube? And that's a great question, and if you stick with me in the next couple of minutes, hopefully I will answer it for you. Hi, my name's Andy Fisher. I'm a 56-year-old teacher in Norwich on the east coast of the UK. And in fact, if I take you over this way a little bit, the school where I teach at is here in the Cathedral Close in Norwich. There's a 900-year-old cathedral behind me, or in front of me now. And that's where we have our assembly in the mornings and where during term time I earn my living. But right now we're on the summer break, and so I thought this was a perfect time to launch a project which I've been intending to do for a little while now. You see, 13 years ago, before I became a dad, I was a casual but enthusiastic climber. Climbed probably V4. I'm not sure I ever hit any V5s. To be honest, the letters and the numbers at that time didn't mean an awful lot to me. I climbed because I enjoyed it, because there was a great climbing centre on my doorstep called Highball, and I'm going to be taking you there in a little while. But then life took over. I ended up, see, there's the cathedral in the background. Isn't it beautiful? I ended up being time poor, cash poor, and it's only now, as I am in my mid-50s, that have an opportunity to revisit climbing and hopefully start to realise my potential. So what do I have going for me? Well, I've got a reasonable level of functional fitness as a baseline. I've always been active. I've got a background in martial arts and obstacle course racing, but I'm not probably the typical build that you'd expect for a climber. So I may have to lean out a little bit more, drop some muscle mass in order to be as functionally capable on the wall as I can. I have a great climbing centre nearby, and I have a very enthusiastic teenage son who started climbing himself about 10 weeks ago. His strength to weight ratio, the fact that he seems to have a nuclear reactor as an energy core because he just never stops, and his resilience and passion for climbing means that he's very quickly going to overtake me. And I want to be the best climbing partner I can be for him. And I also want to make sure that I realise my own potential. So that's why the Fish Scales project has been launched. I'm inviting you to join me on this journey as I figure out what I need to do to become the best climber I'm capable of being. That will involve things like mobility and conditioning training, technique that I learn for improving my climbing on the wall, rehab if necessary from injuries, and just generally exposing myself to climbing culture. So if that sounds like something that might be interesting to you, then please subscribe, join me on the journey, and I'll see you on the wall. So I've been walking for a couple of miles from the city centre, and this somewhat unassuming building on an industrial estate on Whiffler Road is where the Highball Climbing Centre is based. So let's go in and check it out. So this is my new home away from home, the Highball Climbing Centre. It's the largest competition grade bouldering wall in East Anglia. It's got state-of-the-art safety matting all the way around the outside. And I really can't speak highly enough about this as a training venue. It's a really active and supportive community. Now, I filmed this mid-morning, midweek, and that's why it's so quiet, but it does get busier as the day progresses and on the weekends. It's very lively, lots of fun, and as you can see, there's a whole range of different kinds of grade. We've got lots of overhanging routes, some slab work, something for those who like pinches or fingery work. And as we move around the venue here, you'll see just what a vast centre it is. At the entranceway to my right here, you can see that there's a kind of cafe area. On the left-hand side here, there's I don't know what you call this, but a sloping wall that allows you to work particularly steep inclines, but this is a 16 plus area, I think, or 14 plus, so my son's not quite old enough to use that yet. And here, directly in front of us, you can see that there's a training area called the amphitheatre upstairs with a woody board, circuit board, hang boards, all kinds of boards. And then underneath it is the cafe. And then we have this big chill area here with seating. To my right here, centre screen now, you've got the top out wall. And there's even an outside area for lovely days like this. So if you've not been to Highball and you're in this neighbourhood, I'd strongly encourage you to visit. So let's take a look at some of the climbs that I did on this day. I always like to begin my workouts with relatively low-grade routes to warm the muscles up. So here I'm working on an overhanging V0, the purple route, and I'm trying to emphasise all of the kind of key elements of climbing that I can remember from my previous experience. So trying to climb with straight arms, flagging where necessary to create good body position, and I'm down climbing as well in order to warm those muscles up. This orange route has an interesting start where you've got to create upward pressure on this underhang, and then the rest of the route is pretty straightforward, but I like the fact that it requires some shifting of body weight and some rockovers, and this side pull was quite useful. Apologies for the shaky camera work. I'm on my own and I'm using a gimbal that keeps me in the centre. I'll try and improve filming as I progress this project. I was quite pleased with how I climbed this black route. It's not particularly difficult. I think it's again a V2, but I thought that I got my body position nice and close to the wall, that flag out. I was going to flag in this position as well, but as you see, I go for a drop knee instead, which brings me close to the wall for that reach, and then the top out's nice and straightforward here. So the early part of the day, I was climbing routes that I was already familiar with, and then I started to work on some of the new routes. One of the great things about Highball is that the route setters are always active, so the whole of this top out wall was rerouted a few days ago, and so a lot of this is new to me. And this blue route is, I think, it's not graded yet, but I'd imagine it's a V2, V3, and I like the fact that you've got to do this little push mantle at the top. And I enjoyed the challenge of the top out rather than just touching the top of the wall and then down climbing. I've kept this one in here just to show that I've got a very long way to go, because as you can see, this is a whole lot of faffing about trying to find my initial position. And I fast forwarded here because I don't want you to suffer it in real time. But it took a long time before I finally got this start. And from that point onwards, the rest of this black climb is not too bad. But it's things like this that I know that I need to do a lot more work on. My initial setup and body position, and my footwork is definitely an area of weakness that needs improvement. And in the next clip that you're going to see, I come a cropper because of poor footwork and receive an injury that I don't think is too serious, but is going to require a little bit of rest and rehab. So here I'm on another new route, and everything's going swimmingly well to begin with, and I smear against the opposite wall here, create a bit of body tension in order to press myself up into this position. And this seemed reasonable, but as you can see, I slide down the wall and actually banged my hand quite hard, and the second finger in here is quite swollen this morning. I'm having to ice it and hope that it will settle down. I did come back to that route again, and I did complete it using the same basic technique. Again, as you'll see, when I get this right foot smear, it does slip a little, but I managed to hold it this time, and that allows me to top out and complete the route. So gives you an idea of where I'm at as a climber currently, the things that I need to work on, the things I remember from my previous climbing experience, and the direction of travel. There are so many demands on our time, and I really appreciate that you decided to spend a little of yours with me. Hope to see you again soon.